ever since my most recent video where I covered the Miami Mall cover story that took place in 2023 for the alien incident that took place in 2024, I have been looking for more bizarre and strange news stories that seem to have been swept under the rug. Stories that seem to have gone poof because they had a cover story to hide what was actually going on. They were hiding the truth. So I found a very bizarre story on Reddit that was just recently posted because people still have questions about this story, but this story goes all the way back to 2018. Now, back in 2018, I was very heavy into theories, strange stories, mysteries, like I am today, and I never once heard of this story. I guess this is how quickly they swept this incident under the rug. Now, there's an observatory located in Sunspot, New Mexico that has been operating for many, many years without any incident. Instruments up on the observatory on the 9,200-foot Sacramento Peak watch the sun. They would watch it from the specific telescope. But in early September 2018, Sunspot Solar Observatory broke into national news, and not for a stellar scientific discovery. The facility made headlines because it and the small surrounding town had to be evacuated. Now, for about 10 days, those that were aware of the story and those located next to this observatory were pretty much left in the dark as to what was going on. But because people were left in the dark and there was this huge FBI raid at this observatory, people began to speculate. Perhaps the instruments on the peak had gotten too close to a very good secret, whether that was of an alien presence or goings on at a nearby military base. Maybe the sun itself would soon send an apocalyptic storm our way. Whatever was happening, the observatory remained closed for 11 days. The organization that oversees the facility, the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, a consortium of educational institutions that operates telescopes for NASA, and the National Science Foundation, was keeping relatively mum. People were worried. What exactly did this observatory find? Well, eventually the association had to release a statement. On September 16, 2018, the group released a statement. Aura has been cooperating with an ongoing law enforcement investigation of criminal activity that occurred at Sacramento Peak. It read in part, during this time, we became concerned that a suspect in the investigation potentially posed a threat to the safety of local staff and residents. For this reason, Aura temporarily vacated the facility and ceased science activities at this location. So the scientists in this observatory completely stopped everything they were doing. Not only did they leave, but like I said, residents, the town nearby, also had to evacuate. Residents near this observatory were still left in the dark for a few days as to why they had to evacuate, but they eventually found out the reason why. Now, one would think, given the fact that they had to evacuate not just the observatory, but the town, that something was either found or something that was going on would jeopardize the lives of these people, so they had to leave as soon as possible. But come to find out, the reason why everybody had to evacuate was because the janitor inside this observatory was found to have illegal child photos and videos on his laptop.
Well, authorities say it wasn't aliens, and they're investigating potential illegal activity on a laptop in the building that ultimately led law enforcement to evacuate the area and shut down the facility.
We called it the magical piece of caution tape because who knows how many people got past that.
And that's all that separated the public from the Sunspot Observatory. On Monday, we spoke to an armed security guard who had been there for a few days patrolling the area.
It was pretty much at their own risk because nobody knew what was going on and nobody still does.
But now we do. No charges have been filed, but according to court records filed earlier this month, the FBI says they shut down the observatory after threats were made against the facility. In an FBI search warrant, an agent said several months ago the FBI identified suspicious internet traffic at the observatory, and that included child. They searched the facility and found a suspicious laptop. Their investigation focused on a janitor who works at the facility. The warrant says agents seized the laptop, and soon after, the janitor allegedly claimed to be missing some cleaning supplies and asked if anyone had been in the office. The janitor then allegedly suggested there was a serial in the area who might, quote, enter the facility and execute someone. The FBI decided to shut down the facility after the chief observer became concerned for the staff's safety. On Friday, officials executed the search warrant, seizing items from the janitor's home, including multiple cell phones, computers, and hard drives. The documents explain why the observatory was shut down, but this is all part of an ongoing investigation. Now, we're not naming the janitor right now because he has not been arrested and he has not been charged for any crime. Shelley Leggett, KOAT, Action 7 News.
We did reach out to the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, or AURA, the company overseeing the observatory. Now, it responded it cannot comment on an ongoing investigation.
Now, yes, there is reasons for the FBI to raid the observatory, especially if illegal videos and photos are being downloaded to this laptop or being viewed on this laptop under the observatory's internet. But can anybody explain why the entire town of Sunspot also had to be evacuated? Well, that was the cover story that the association of this observatory, the FBI, and the media went with. Janitor Joshua Cope was found with very bad things on his laptop, and everybody had to evacuate. Now, with every bizarre story that has a unbelievable narrative that is pushed out by the media, there are more questions than answers, because within hours of this observatory being shut down, there were also multiple observatories that happened to be shut down as well. Within hours of the Sunspot, New Mexico observatory being evacuated, a local private observatory located in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, called the JAT Observatory, was offline as well. But not just this private observatory in Pennsylvania, but also multiple solar observatories went offline. The Axis 232D network dome camera located in Sydney, Australia, webcams located at SOAR Observatory, the Southern Astrophysical Research Telescope located in Chile, the BRT Tenerife Telescope webcam located in Spain, webcam located at Mauna Kea Observatory at the University of Hawaii Hilo, webcam from the Canada-France-Hawaii Telescope Observatory in Hawaii, were all shut down and without any reason whatsoever. NASA eventually gave a statement claiming a lunar transit was taking place the same time the Sunspot, New Mexico Observatory was being shut down and evacuated due to a janitor having an illegal laptop. There were also other websites reporting that multiple webcams and observatories across the world had also been shut down around the same time. Now, with the FBI and the media giving one story, NASA giving another story, people completely left in the dark, that made some people wonder, did NASA or did one of these observatories spot something near the sun that they should not have seen? Well, this wouldn't be the first time that NASA or those involved with viewing the sun would shut down or block images where something bizarre was seen either around or coming out of the sun. On May 2nd, 2022, there was a giant black cube seen coming out of the sun. Then all of a sudden the screen glitches and then it's nowhere to be seen. So as coincidentally, it's obvious there is a giant cube coming out of the sun. Coincidentally, about 25% of the screen glitches that blocks out the view of this cube. Directly after this, NASA completely shut down their webcam. NASA completely shut down their website to stop this viewing of the sun. There are even people that believe they have caught footage from NASA where it is shown that a massive UFO was seen drawing energy from the sun itself. What is also a bizarre coincidence is that the bizarre object, the Oumuamua, was seen in our solar system in transit in 2017. But in late 2018, the Oumuamua was behind our sun, doing something behind our sun before it had completely exited out of our solar system. So was something seen on camera or found on camera that involved the Oumuamua and our sun. Now, going back to this janitor who had these illegal images and videos on his laptop, the person that is in the center of the Sunspot, New Mexico Observatory evacuation, this janitor made claims that he was actually not the owner of this laptop, that the owner of this laptop was somebody that was going to shoot everybody inside this facility, that there was some kind of serial criminal on the loose and they were targeting this facility. The janitor had also claimed he was missing cleaning supplies as well. Well, as he was trying to warn people about what he was seeing, he was then arrested for what was found on this laptop. Not only that, the FBI also raided his home. So what it sounds like to me, this observatory in Sunspot, New Mexico was the very first observatory to spot something strange going on with the sun. There was going to be a mass shooting conducted where there was going to be this lone gunman that was going to take out most of these employees that also had this knowledge of what was going on with the sun as well. This janitor got wind of it. He was going to report what was happening, and they went with another story. They reported that, well, this janitor, this laptop, had illegal images on it. This man was downloading illegal images at the job. We're going to take the laptop back, and we are going to lock this man away. Because again, this narrative they rushed out there makes no sense whatsoever, that this man with these images and these videos caused not only the observatory to be evacuated, but also the entire town as well to be evacuated, and multiple observatories across the world to be completely shut down. With the news focused on this janitor, these illegal images and videos, this story was swiftly swept under the rug. Exactly 4 years later, the case against janitor Joshua Cope went to criminal trial. On Monday, September 12, 2022, Cope appeared at the district's courthouse to face evidence against him. Now, over the course of 3 days, witnesses from the observatory, the Cope family, the FBI, the New Mexico District Attorney's Office, and the New Mexico State University Police Department testified about the events and the evidence surrounding the sunspot happenings from years ago. Now, here's what's strange. Everyone who is testifying, everyone that was involved with the Sunspot, New Mexico evacuation, their memories, analysis, the data cohered into a timeline that strangely left out the evacuation. The evacuation of not only the observatory, but the entire town, multiple observatories around the world shutting down, was never once mentioned during trial. All the questions pertain to the janitor's personality, those related or had relations with the janitor, and the laptop. Now, prosecution, the state, could not prove that the laptop belonged to Joshua Cope. The laptop had no name, it had no owner. Matter of fact, multiple people inside this observatory saw this laptop in multiple suspicious places. There was absolutely nothing that connected Cope to this laptop, but it didn't matter, because when FBI raided his home, they found more illegal images and videos, and thus he was found guilty. And pretty much that is that. Whatever was found, whatever suspiciously happened at the Sunspot, New Mexico Observatory has now been forever linked with this janitor and this laptop. Now, with that being said, people are not buying the official narrative, or the quote unquote, the official narrative that was put out by the FBI and the media, and for good reason. So there was a gathering of minds. There were many people doing research, trying to put together, trying to piece together what exactly was happening around that time that caused this observatory in New Mexico and also these other observatories to be shut down. Well, as this was going on in New Mexico, NASA coincidentally updated their coding infrastructure that provided access to SOHO data, images, and movies. So around this time, any data, images, or movies that NASA had access to were not available. Matter of fact, they were not available for weeks because the coding infrastructure was under maintenance. But what we do know is that NASA, at NASA's Sun, on September 6, 2018 stated the Foxy sounding rocket mission is gearing up for a third flight to examine the sun in X-rays, this time with a new telescope for imaging lower energy X-rays and other improvements to capture more accurate images of the sun. Then they gave an update. Foxy successfully launched at 11:21 a.m. from the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. It flew at an altitude of 189 miles, and the science team reports that good data was obtained during the flight. Isn't that just such a bizarre coincidence? The same day that Foxy launches this experiment to study sun rays, this New Mexico town and observatory had to be evacuated. Now you might believe in coincidences, but that's just a little bit too much of a coincidence. So that then raises the question, what exactly did Foxy capture near the sun that they had to cease all operations? That even this, and they were probably working with this observatory in New Mexico, that completely stopped all operation, where they were going to end the lives of everybody in this observatory if it was not for this janitor releasing this information. And then they decided to push this very bizarre story of this janitor and this laptop. More than likely, we will never know what they saw now that they are running with this janitor story. But the YouTuber Secure Team 10 has stated they do have images that was captured by this observatory around this time. This last image viewed by the observatory, which seems to show the sun being eclipsed by an object with the same angular width as the sun, and is therefore most likely the moon. But what's very bizarre is that the SDO, or the Solar Dynamics Observatory, the satellite, captures something that a lunar eclipse has never done before. In the SDO images, the moon is seen moving downwards and then upwards. In other words, the eclipse occurs twice and in opposite direction. So how can that be? For all we know, the moon absolutely cannot do that. So there's one of three theories. Either one, what was observed was Planet X, Nibiru. Two, there are two SDO satellites in space. We are only aware of one, but it is possible there is two capturing two different images in two opposite directions. Or there could be some kind of massive object that is using the sun as its energy source. There are those that theorize that the sun is actually getting weaker, it's getting darker. This could indeed explain a couple things as to why certain people were trying to block out the sun from viewing. Also, China was trying to build an artificial sun. But whatever has happened that day, a lot of information was scrubbed from the internet, including recordings of phone calls between the Apache Point Observatory just down the road from the Sunspot Observatory and the sheriff's office. There were even YouTube videos removed, like this one, sun-grazing objects recorded passing the sun on September 1st, 2018, but when you click that link, nothing's available, it was removed. There was also a video showing that Sechi had hours of data that was removed between September 6th and September 7th. But again, when you try to click that link, the video is not available. This is indeed a bizarre ongoing theme when it comes to a lot of articles, YouTube videos, and research that circles around whatever that this observatory saw. Most of it has been scrubbed from the internet. So what is the conclusion, since we do not know what Foxy, NASA, and this observatory in New Mexico saw? What information that they do have that pertains to the sun? The powers that be will create any type of story, even if it doesn't make sense, to hide the truth. It's always healthy to be skeptical, especially when you hear stories that 10-foot tall shadow creatures invaded the Miami Mall. It's always good to be skeptical. But it's always good to be skeptical of those giving us narratives as well. So what is your take behind this New Mexico observatory that was shut down and evacuated, the entire town evacuated in 2018? Do you believe it was just a person with illegal images and videos on his laptop? Or do you believe something more is going on here? That this is more truth being hidden from us? In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. And please like, because any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.